Shalom, shalom, shalom to the 12 tribe that scattered abroad. Shalom, shalom, shalom to the 12 tribe of Israel that scattered abroad. Welcome back to Reading the Bible with your brother Nehemiah. How everybody doing today? Before we get started, we want to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, for allowing us to see another day. How was everybody's Sabbath yesterday? Mine was great. I got a chance to go to congregation, and it was a good service yesterday. Matter of fact, I had went live on YouTube with the lesson yesterday. My brother Moshe, it was his first time doing the lesson of the class. You know, he the second teacher, so it was his first time being in his hand doing the teaching of the class. And it was a good teaching. It was about loving thy brother, companionship. It was a good one. It was a good one. Y'all go on my Facebook page. It's on there. Y'all can see it. Well, today, y'all, we're gonna be in Genesis chapter 37. Now, we left off in Genesis chapter 36. We was doing in Genesis chapter 36. It's about the generation of Esau. How all of them have been about his sons he had and his sons, and they became the duke. We found out about the dukes. They became the dukes, meaning the chief of their tribes within their nation. And it was a lot of them, a whole lot of them. And now we're gonna be in Genesis chapter 37, reading Genesis chapter 37. So everybody get their King James Version with the Apocrypha out and open up to Genesis chapter 37, and we will begin. Okay. Everybody there, kind. And we begin. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 37, verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. Now, Jacob dwelt in the same land where his father was a stranger. That's the same land that God promised Abraham, Isaac, also to Jacob. Let me see. This is the land wherein he was a stranger. Genesis chapter 17, verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So the same land where Jacob dwelt in, where his father them dwelt at, and he was a stranger there. That's the land that God promised Abraham and Isaac back in Genesis 17 and 8. So you can precept that with Genesis 37 and 1 if you want to. I just do it because they be more precepts for me to get to. I won't have to fumble around trying to wonder what that was and stuff like that. Let's continue. Verse 2. Well, verse 2. And it reads, These are the generation of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the son of Belha and with the sons of Zalpo, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now, verse 2 is talking about the generation of the genealogy of Jacob. Now he's talking about his sons, their generation. Okay, and it said Joseph, being 17. Remember, Joseph was the knee baby. He was next to the baby. He was the second youngest. Who Rachel, the one that passed away, who died giving birth to his brother Benjamin. Rachel had Joseph and Benjamin. So Joseph was 17 at this time, right there, and his brothers then was feeding the flock, feeding his father's flock, right? And he was feeding the flock with his brother. And the lad, so he basically the youngest one besides Benjamin. So Benjamin probably be back at the house with his father. I don't know. I can't concern. But Joseph was 17 at this point in time. And he was with his brother now. And the lad was with the son of Belha and with the son of Zalpo. His father, why? The two concubines. Belha is Rachel's concubine, and Zalpo is Leah's concubine. His two wives, the two sisters. Remember, they gave their maidservants up for the marriage. They gave birth for kids. So he with the two maidservants. He with the two concubines, two sons. So he with the full brother, and that was let me see. Give me the book, get to the book of Genesis, chapter 35, verse 25 and 26. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 35, verse 25. And the son of Belha, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. So that was the sons of Belha. So he was with Dan and Naphtali, and the sons of Zalpo, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. So he was with Dan, Naphtali, and Gad and Asher. This who Joseph was with his brother now when they were feeding the flock. So, and let's continue in verse 2. His father's wife, and Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Their evil report, what he brought to his father, meaning a bad report of them. Verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. So Israel, the father, remember Jacob, name was changed to Israel. He fought with the angel. But he made his son, he said he loved Joseph more than all his children. Because Joseph, why? Because Joseph was the son of his old age. And so he made him a coat. A tunic of many colors. Verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceable unto him. So when the brother seen that the father loved them more than his own brother, more than he loved them, they had hate for him. And go to the book of Leviticus. Let me see. Wow. Sometimes this phone get really ache my nerves. This phone won't act right for the end of the world, man. I'm looking for precept. I think it's in Leviticus. Just bear with me, family. I can't remember exactly where it's at. Um, and the phone acts so crazy. It'd have been bounced all over the place. But the precept is wow, damn. What I'm looking for is say that thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. That's Deuteronomy. I think that's Deuteronomy. Mm. I have to find it. I got to find it now. See, that's why I be precepting. When I be going through it, I write them precepts on down because then I already know where it's at. Be right there by my where I'm reading. Try with this phone, man. Where in the Bible it say thou shalt not hate thy brother? Leviticus 19, I was there, wasn't it? And that's it too. I looked all over and I was there. It was Leviticus chapter 19, like I said. 19 verse 17. Damn. And it reads, this is the book of Leviticus chapter 19 verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So when it said in verse 4, and when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceable unto him. But God said, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. And they shouldn't did that. But all this is all this the Most High doing. This is for a reason why he a dreamer and the things that he fit to say. We're gonna continue to, then you'll see what I'm talking about. Verse 5, back in Genesis chapter 37, verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. So he had a dream and he told it to his brother, so they hated him even more. And he said at verse 6, and he said unto them, Here, I pray you this dream which I have dreamed. Verse 7, For behold, we were bending shelves in the field, and lo, my shelf arose, and also stood up upright. And behold, your shelf stood around about and made access to my shelf. Okay, he said they was bending shelves in the field, gathering them together and tying them in a knot. They were tying them, wrapping like the weeds. When you grab them, bring them all together, the bushes, you put them all together, and then you tie in a towel rope like a string around them, and they'd be like a bungle. That's what they were doing. And he said his shell also stood upright. So his shell, when he put it, it stood up, straight up. And it said, your shell stood around, and behold, your shell stood around him. It stood around his shell. They shell, where they bundled together, they stood around his shell that was standing up and made upsets, meaning they bowed down to him, and upsets. I'm going to see if I'm pronouncing this word right. Let's go define it. Obeisance. The fairy tale respect. They paid obeisance to the prince, meaning respect. They worship. These some words of it. Honor. Submission. A guster expressing deferentile respect, such as a bow or courtesy. So they shall basically bow down to his shell. That's what obeisance means. Bowing down, show respect, honor. And why was that? It's the dream that he dreamed about his thing. Everybody, the shell bowing down to his shell. And why everybody bowing down to his shell? Let's find out. Verse 8. And his brethren said to him, Shall thou indeed reign over us? So they was like, so should thou indeed reign over us? So they was showing respect like he the king. He gonna reign over them. Let's keep going. Or shall thou indeed have dominant over us? dominion over us. Dominion. Let's get the definition of dominion.
Dominion.
A sovereignty or control. The territory of a sovereign or government. Supremes, dominus, domination, control, power, rule. So they were saying, is he going to rule over them? Let's continue. And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his word. So they even hated him more when thou shalt not hate thy brother in their heart. And they regular ganging hatred and hatred and hatred. We cannot hate our brother. What I'm saying by your brother, your neighbor, meaning we have other ways to treat other people, other nations. You know, we don't supposed to treat nobody bad, you know, but like the scriptures say, if it be possible, live peaceful with everybody, every man. And if it don't, you know, so it's a difference between them and us. If you from the nation of Israel, we supposed to love our brother. We shouldn't have no hate in our heart for our brethren. None at all. No matter what, even though things that they do, you know, I feel it's a certain part of the time you have to draw a line to it. Because I'm not going to keep that sitting there just letting you do me wrong. But you don't have to do it with hatred. You don't have to do it with hatred. God said if they don't want to hearken here, dust off your feet and keep it moving. So, but don't have hate, because that will knock your blessing. No hatred. So they had hate because of the dream of his dream. Verse 9, and he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. So he told me I dreamed another dream. And this time it was the sun and the moon, Shalaki, and this 11 star bowed down to him. Wow. Shalaki. Sure. They bowed, the sun, the moon, and the 11 star, they bowed down to him. So what is this thing Joseph is? What God got going on with Joseph? Why is Joseph so special? What's this thing about Joseph? Verse 10. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? So the father, Israel, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, asked him about a dream, and he said, what shall me, your mother, your brethren, shall all of bow down to you? What is this dream that he keep having? Verse 11. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. So his brother they hated him already, so they envied. Let's get the definition of envy.
Envy.
Desire to have a quality, possession, or other desirable attribute belonging to someone else. So they envy him. So they desire to have it. the blessing that he had, the dreams that he dreaming, and the things that he's saying. They desire to have what someone else have. So they ended him. But his father observed him, meaning his father, he kept the matter in mind. He observed the saying. He observed the saying where he said, the words that he said, he observed that. He kept the matter in mind. He always think. He wondered. But who wouldn't wonder? Because you trying to figure out which one God gonna choose out of my 12 boys. All of them is a part of the 12 tribe, but it's one. Remember, he was going down the line, but is he gonna go down the line in there? Joseph got to be something special because Joseph was born in Jacob's old age, and Jacob loved him more, and prefer he dreams dreams and can interpret them. Oh, let them dogs. He dreamed dreams and he can and give interpretation of them. Verse 12. Let's keep it going. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Now, y'all remember what Shechem is? That's in Canaan. The same place was promised to Abraham and Isaac. Genesis 33 and 18. That's a precept. We can get it if we want to. Let's read it. The book of Genesis, chapter 33, 18. And Jacob came to Shalem, because it's just like Shalom. Shalem, a city in Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan and pitched his tent before the city. So Shechem, where his brother went to feed their father's flock in Shechem, it's a city in Shalom. It's a city in Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. It's in the land of Canaan, the same land that God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They already stand in this land. The same land God promised to give to them forever. They stand in this land, but it belongs to the Canaanites. It belongs to the Hamites. It belongs to all of them right now. Let's continue. Verse 13. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brother feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. So Joseph was fit to send Jacob fit to send Joseph to the brothers in Shechem where he feed the flock at. Verse 14. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flock, and bring me word again. You know what he said. He was reporting their evil doing. So he reporting they evil doing. So he would tell them to bring them back words again. So what they doing? He was already reporting their evil, saying what they were doing. What it said. It said Joseph back in verse 2. Joseph brought unto his father their evil report, their evil words, they words that they were saying. So he said it again. He told him, and well with the flock, and bring me words again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. So he sent him away from Hebron where they at. No, something I'm not gonna touch the phone like that no more. Now Hebron is in the land of Canaan too. That's where Sarah died. Hold on, let me get it. I think that's where Sarah died at. Yeah. Verse Genesis 23 and 2. And Sarah died in Kirjathah, the same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. So Hebron, where he sent her from, this was his father them was. Abraham, Isaac, this where they was raised at. This what they began to proceed, you know. Cause remember when God told Abraham to get away from his father, leave his father country, and he gonna bring him to his land. This the land where he bring him to, Canaan. He brought him to the land, and this the land that he promised him. So Jacob sent his son away from Hebron, and he came to Shechem. Verse 15 in Genesis, back to Genesis 37, verse 15. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. Now Joseph wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? So the man asked him, what seekest thou? Verse 16, and he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flock. So he's like, I'm looking for my brethren. Tell me where they feeding the flock at. Do you know? Verse 17, and the man, the fuck just happened then? Oh, that will happen. Okay. Verse 17 again from the top. And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. So Joseph went after the brother and found them in Dothan. Dothan most commonly means two wells in Hebrew, a name associated with an ancient biblical city where the story of Joseph and Elisha took place. The name is also applied to the modern day city of Dothan in Alabama, which was named after the biblical location. So Dothan, Alabama is named after the biblical location too. That's interesting. For real. Didn't know that. But it practically means two well, Dothan. Well, it's a city in the biblical, ancient biblical city. It's an ancient biblical city, Dothan, and mean too well. So that way he went and found their brother them at. They was in Dothan. Let's continue. Verse 18. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. So when they saw him afar off, before he even came near to them, they conspired against him. Conspired. Define conspired. Conspired. Make secret plan jointly to commit an unlawful or harmful act. So they plotting against their brother that hurt they. Who did that? Cain killed Abel. Esau and Jacob were fighting in the womb. Where all this thing coming from? It's hatred. You ought to be proud of your brother that he can interpret dreams. That he. What do we know of what Joseph's about to do? We don't. But they conspired against him to slay him. They want to harm their brother when thou shalt not have hatred in thy heart. Thou shalt not. Go to the book of Deuteronomy. chapter 28, verse, she can't remember. Verse 54. We shouldn't be our eyes shouldn't be evil towards our brother like that. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 54. That the man that is tender among you are very delicate. His eye shall be evil towards his brethren. We shouldn't have that. They should love their brother. But they sat down and plotted what they gonna do to their brother. Let's continue. Let's see find out what they're gonna do, what they did. Verse 19. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. They call him a dream. They making jokes of him. Behold, this dreamer cometh. Meaning master of dreams. He a master of dreams. He can interpret dreams. If you tell him your dream, he'll interpret, tell you the interpretation of the dream. That's what he do. Verse 20. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. They wanted to kill him and throw him into the pit. And we will say some evil beast had devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dream. They hated their brother that much they wanted to kill him. That's evil. That's Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. Your eye evil towards your brother, when you should love thy brother with all thy heart. When the man asked Jesus, which commandment is the greatest? You have to love thy brother. They both the same. You love your father and you love thy brother. You love your brother like you love yourself. You ain't gonna harm yourself. We ain't talking about loving everybody in this world if it's not part of Israel. If it's not part of your nation, if it's not so-called African American, Latino, or Native American, they is not part of the Israelite tribe. They is not part of it. So you don't have to love them. You can humble yourself down and, don't have to commit evil towards them. But God ain't say you have to love them. He said love thy neighbor. That meaning your brethren. See, as we go through this Bible, you're going to see the difference between your brethren, the Israelite, and other nations. We not supposed to have hate or do evil to anyone. If it be possible, live peaceful with all men. But that's if. That's if. Verse 21. Let's keep going. And Reuben, remember Reuben, that's the oldest son, what he did. Do y'all remember what Reuben did? See, you have to remember anything. Reuben slept with Jacob, his father, concubine, Bilhah, Rachel, handmaid. Reuben slept with her. That's his oldest son, his firstborn. Remember the firstborn supposed to get the blessing, right? We're going to see as they go down, as the blessing goes. The firstborn is get the hair. He get the birthright. That's what I'm trying to say, the birthright. He get the birthright. The firstborn get the birthright. Let's continue. Verse 21 again from the top. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hand and said, let us not kill him. So Reuben delivered him out of their hand. He delivered Joseph out of their hand. He saved Joseph, meaning. He said, let's not kill him. Verse 22. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness. Now, all his brother had hatred for him. Except for Benjamin. Benjamin ain't there. That's the youngest brother. But the other 10, they all had hatred for him. Even Reuben, even though he saved him from out of his brother's hand, he still said, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness. That's hate. That's evil. Wickedness towards your brother. What it just said in Deuteronomy 54, your eye will be evil towards your brother. And that's what they evil towards their brother. Let's continue. It said, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hand, to deliver him to his father again. So, sound like Reuben trying to save him. He don't want to disagree with his brother them, so they'll turn on them. So that'll be 9 against 2. So he said, cast him on into the pit. That's just because they wanted to kill him. He's saving his life so he can deliver him back to his father. He know how much his father loved that boy. That was his favorite wife, first child, who he worked, just say 14 years for. Because the first 7, he got tricked. Then he turned around and worked 7 more. Then after that, he worked 6 more years. So, who wouldn't say that that woman that he cared for, Rachel, when she finally gave him birth? That probably really made him love him more than he loved them all. The first one in his old age, by his favorite wife. Let's continue. Verse 23. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. Now, they stripped him out of his coat. The same coat that his father, Jacob, Israel, made with many colors and gave to him. They stripped him out of the coat. Let's keep going. And they took him, verse 24, and they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty. There was no water in it. So the pit was empty. They cast him on into the pit, verse 25. And they sat down to eat bread, and they sat down to eat a meal. And they lifted up their eyes and looked it, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Galilee with their camels bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. So as they sit down and ate a meal, ate bread, when they looked up, it was a company of Ishmaelites. Let's get the Ishmaelites. The first precept I want to give you is Genesis chapter 16 in verse, hold on. Sixteen 11, yeah. Okay, let's get the precept first. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 16, verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold. Now this is talking about Hagar, Abraham, wife, Sarah, handmaid, who gave birth to Ishmael. Now we finna find out where the Ishmaelites come from. When he looked up, a company of Ishmaelites were coming towards them. These were the Ishmaelites come from. Let's read it. Genesis 16:11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord had heard thy affliction. So he called his name Ishmael. Ishmael is the progenitor of the Ishmaelites. Them are the Arabs folk. The Arabs. And they ain't the only Arabs either now. They not. Because you got the Midianites, they some Arabs. But let's continue. 25 from the top again. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelite came. Definition. That was a precept we gave, the definition. An Ishmaelite is a descendant of Ishmael, the son of Abraham and Hagar, and was historically associated with the nomadic desert tribe of northern Arab. Let me see. Arabia. In a broader sense, the term can refer to any wandering or outcast. So the term can refer to any wanderer or outcast. The Bible identifies the Ishmaelite with various desert people and note that they were known as skilled warriors and traders. Okay, the Ishmaelites are descended from Ishmael, whom Abraham fathered with Hagar, Sarah handmaid. After Isaac was born, Abraham sent Ishmael and Hagar away into the desert. Okay, the traditional ancestor of Arabs. The 12 sons of Ishmael became the progenitor of as many tribes, and by extensions, the Ishmaelites are considered the traditional ancestor of the Arab people. So they consider the traditional ancestor of the Arab people, the Ishmaelite. Like I said, the Ishmaelite are the Arabs people. Let's continue reading. Okay, a company of Ishmaelite came from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices, and balm, and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. So they was bringing spices. Spices can refer to spicy, collective, the spice, quality, flavor, or aroma of something, or in a boslic sense, a storeroom or place for keeping spices. So they were taking stuff down to sell. I guess they were taking it down to Egypt to sell balm and myrrh, and they carried it down to Egypt. Verse 26. And Judah said unto his brethren, Judah, the tribe, the so-called African Americans, the so-called Negroes, Judah. We from the tribe of Judah. If you're so-called Negro, African American, Judah. Now listen to what Judah said. 26 from the top again. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood?
Conceal.
Keep from sight. Okay, I figured that. So they wanted to keep. He said, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood, meaning hide his blood? Meaning, if they kill him and they keep silent about it and they know, what he's saying, what profit? Listen to what he's saying. What profit? Listen, who spoke this? Judah. What profit? And you will see what I mean about this. What profit? I'm going to come back to this because the prophet, I got to go and say it. The prophet, why do you think they sold the so-called African American? All this, you reap what you sowed. What's y'all favorite thing? Karma. And what goes around comes around. All that, yeah. He wanted to make a profit off his brethren. So that made us all Judah. That's why we were sold. We were sold for a profit. Y'all to get it when y'all understand it. It took me It took me about a year to figure all that out. Because I had to keep reading. I ain't understood it right then. I done read it so many times, then I would keep wondering, okay, why he asked for a prophet? Then I thought about us, the so-called African American, being brought over him in the Atlantic slave trade and sold. When we got off the boat and they sold us for a price, we were profit. We were sold for a profit. He sold his brother for a profit. See, this gonna be Genesis 37:26 gonna go with I want to say Deuteronomy 28:68. When no man shall buy thee. But we're going to get to it, and I'm going to come right back to this. Genesis 37:26. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Verse 27, let's keep going. Come and let us sell him. Huh? What he just said. Judah, this Judah, he want a prophet. He want to sell him. So Judah been sold off. The so-called African Americans was brought over here and sold. Was sold. One another tribe was sold. Only Judah was sold. The so-called African American. Now you see why we were sold. All this a curse come God. You reap what you sow. Karma ain't far around. What goes around comes around. Or what comes around goes around. However you want to put it. However you want to put it. Verse 27 again from the top. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. So he said, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. So if anything happened to him, our hand don't be upon him. Why is not? You sold your brother. Listen to what he's saying. This is why God put this on him. Judah. He ain't did it to Reuben. Yeah, they went in slavery, but they weren't sold. All the tribes went in slavery. The whole 12 tribe of Israel went in slavery. All of us. But who was sold? Judah. He said, come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelite, and let not our hand be upon him. Your hand's upon him. Because you the one brought this to a front. You the one said, come on, brothers, let's sell him. We can't make no profit off if we kill him or his blood be on our hand, try to conceal his blood. So let's sell him. Make a profit off him. His own brethren. Because his father loved him more than he loved them. And they hated him with envy. Let's continue. And let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. And they was with it. They listened. They listened. They was content. They listened to him and they agreed with it. But he said, for he is our brother and our flesh. Our flesh, and our bone. Verse 28. Hold on. Let me go back to this. I want to define content. Content. In a state of peaceful happiness. Satisfy someone. Content. So they were complete. They were satisfied with the suggestion. They were satisfied with what Judah said. They was with it. They was down with it, ready to sell their brethren. Shalaka family, hold on for a minute, excuse me. Okay, I'm back. Shalaka. Excuse me. Now let's continue. Verse 28. Then there passed by Midianites. Okay, the Midianites. The Midianite referred to an ancient Arabian desert people, Arabian desert people. The descendant of Midian, the son of Abraham. Okay. These are descendants of Midian, the Midianites, the son of Abraham. Remember when Sarah died and he remarried Keturah. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Keturah. And he had, I think, 5 or 6 sons, maybe 7 sons by her. Historically, they were a nomadic group in the northwestern Arabian near the Gulf of Aqaba, who were pastoralists and traders. In the Bible, they are depicted as having complex interaction with the Israelites, including periods of both conflict and peaceful coexist, most notable through Moses' father-in-law Jethro. So the Midianites so okay, that is Jacob. Now that is Isaac and Ishmael brethren, Midian, because that's Abraham's son, but by Keturah, they don't have the same mama. None of them don't have the same mama. Ishmael got a different mama. Isaac got a different mama. And the other boys, they brothers who Abraham had, Keturah, by Keturah, back in Genesis. Let me get that right quick. But it's a thought just hit my mind. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, was a Midianite. And this all family. They our uncle. Okay, here we go. Genesis 25, verse 1. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran and Jokshan, Midian and Ishbak and Shua. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She bare him 6. He had 6. So Isaac got 6 other brothers. And one of them was the Midian. And they are the Midianites. They are the Midianite. And what it said, the Midianite referred to an ancient Arabian desert people, just like Ishmaelites. The Midianite, they are Arabian desert people. And they say historically they were a nomadic group of northwestern Arabs near the Gulf of Aqaba who were pastoralists and traders. In the Bible, they are depicted as having complex interaction with the Israelite, including periods of born conflict and peaceful coexistence, most notable through Moses' father-in-law, Jethro. Let's continue. Now, this stuff gets serious and interesting. See, like I said, it'd be more happening where we were. Okay, verse 28. Let's finish reading. Verse 28 from the top again. Then there passed by Midianites, merchmen, and they drew and lift up Joseph out of the pit. So the Midianite, the merchantmen, they lift Joseph up out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite for 20 pieces of silver. So when they lift him up out of the pit, when his brother them took him up out of the pit, they sold him. They sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite for 20 pieces of silver. Okay, after they sold him for the 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt, the Ishmaelites. Hold on. Verse 28 again. It say, then there passed by Midianites, merchmen. So the Midianites, the one lift them out of the pit. And it said, because it say, then there passed by Midianites, merchmen, and they drew and lift up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. Now, if the Midianite took him out the pit, it couldn't have like that. His brother them had to do it because it say, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite. It had to be a brother them lifting by the pit, and then they sold him to the Ishmaelite for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph down into Egypt. Verse 29. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. So when Reuben came back, Reuben went in the plot with them. When they decide, when Judah decided, it's talking about let's sell them. What profit should be in? So we're gonna sell them. So Reuben went there. Reuben was gone somewhere else. So when he came back, he see that the lad wasn't in the pit anymore. So he rent his clothes, meaning he tore his clothes in grief. Verse 30. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? So he returned back to his brother, like, where's our brother? And whither should I go? Let's continue. Verse 31. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. Now, They hollering about now hands on that their blood should not be on his hand. So they take the coat where they had stripped him out of. They took the man coat. They killed a kid goat and put it in the blood, put blood all on their coat. But now you finna conceal the blood. When he was hollering about can't conceal the blood, we don't need to conceal the blood, Judah. What profit of by us concealing his blood, by hiding it? You're doing it now. You're trying to cover something up. And you're lying about it, which you sold the man. And you know he ain't dead. You sold him all. Let's continue. Verse 32. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son coat or no. So they come back with the coat and give it to their father and talking about this is what they found. Lying to their father. And ain't that one of the rules, one of the commandments? Thou shalt not bear false witness. Verse 33. And he knew it and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast had devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. Meaning he was torn in pieces. So they got their father thinking that Joseph is dead. That evil beast killed Joseph on the way. Verse 34. And Jacob rent his clothes. So Jacob tore his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. So Jacob put sackcloth upon his. Let's see what that is.
Sackcloth.
A verse, coarse, rough fabric, wool from flax or hemp. So it's some type of wool clothing. So he put sackcloth upon his lawn and mourned for his son many days. Verse 35. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him. So remember, they ain't mentioned them a Dana. But he had more sons and daughters. So as it just said, all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him. To comfort, to uplift him. Make him feel more better. But he misses his son he loved. He hurt. So he mourned for many days. But he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave until my son mourning. He said, For I will go down into the grave until my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. Verse 36. And the Midianite sold him into Egypt, unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. So the Midianite sold him. So his brother sold him to the Midianite. Why are they calling them Ishmaelites? Because them are two different people. Okay. Now this confusing me. You got the Midianites and then you got the Ishmaelite. But it said, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite for 20 pieces. If they sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite, well, why would it say, and the Midianite sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard? Why it won't? Well, that was the end of Genesis 37. What I don't get is I'm gonna have to go deeper into this about this Midianite and the Ishmaelite. Then they're passed by Midianite merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. So way it's reading is saying like the Midianites the one will draw them out the pit. And sold Joseph to the Israelites. How can they do that when they ain't had authority to sell Joseph, which his brother did? So I'm thinking, I'm figuring, the brother them lift them up out of the pit, and he sold them to the Ishmaelites. But how did the Midianites get them to sell them into Egypt? Because it ain't mentioned them about no Ishmaelites selling them to the Midianites. But it did say back in verse 25, and they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels. See, a company of Ishmaelites. So and then it come to 28, then there passed by Midianites merchantmen. The Ishmaelite had to sell them to the Midianite. That's all I see. After the brothers sold them to the Ishmaelite had to sell them to the Midianite. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back over there. I'm gonna get in touch with my teacher, and let him break that down to me. Cause bro, my understanding is the brother took him up out of the pit. They sold him to the Ishmaelites. How the Midianites got him, I don't know. Shut up! Shut up!
Merchantman.
A ship used in commercial, a vessel of the merchant marine. Now, it could be possible that Ishmael made a trade with them, sold them, like he sold them to the Midianite. Now, like I said, because the Midianite, that was a merchantman is. The merchantman bought and sold goods, engaged in trading locally and internationally. So that's what they deal in the Midianite. They deal with trading and selling things off. So who was coming down with the Ishmaelite was coming down with the spice and bird to Egypt. They carried it down to Egypt. But like I said, I'm gonna get with my op, and we gonna get back on that. I come back up when he break it down to me and give me a better understanding of it. I break it down to y'all to give y'all a better understanding of it. But man, that was the end of Genesis chapter 37. As we moving along, y'all, we'll be in Genesis chapter 38 soon, and we will be through with Genesis in a little bit. We ain't got that much left for Genesis to read. Then we'll be moving to Exodus. But before we get to Exodus, it's a lot gonna go on into Genesis. Just you have to remember what we read, because there's a lot gonna go on in Genesis that lead us up to where we been in Exodus. Cause how can you just jump into Exodus? How we Exodus? Exodus means we exited out of something. You exited out of. That's what Exodus means. It meaning that we exit out of, well, Egypt. So when did we came into Egypt? Because right now we were in Canaan, in the land of Canaan. How did we get to Egypt? Okay, we already see a combination going. His brother them already sold Joseph. They sold him to the Ishmaelite, and the Ishmaelite gave him to the Midianite. And in the Midianite, they took him down into Egypt and sold him to a Potfo, however you pronounce his name. Potfo. But there was a guard, what he was. Potiphar. He was an officer of Pharaoh and a captain of the guard. He was a captain of the guard, an officer of Pharaoh. Potfo, however you pronounce his name. But now you see who went into Egypt. They sold their brother. Oh, to the Ishmaelite, and the Ishmaelite sold him to the Midianites, I guess. And the Midianite took him down into Egypt and sold him to one of Pharaoh's officers. So now he became a Pharaoh officer. This they brother, and they went back and lied to their father like their brother was dead, was devoured by evil beast. So this how now we not in Egypt, but they sold their brother to Egypt. He gone to Egypt. And they got, like I said, got their father thinking that he dead. And tomorrow we'll pick up with Genesis chapter 38. No promise, but you know. Like I said, but y'all read back over it. Remember what you read. Because you just in Genesis. I jumps around and pull precepts out just to show you things. But all these precepts gonna come as we get, especially when we get to moving on forward. When we already read about this and read about that, and now you're gonna be seeing things that relate to all that what we read. When we see that's how that was precept come from. That's how precepts come about. But man, we want to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, for allowing us to read his word for the day, man. Like I said, man, y'all draw yourself nigh to the Most High. Get into it. The spirit. You got to want it. You got to endure. And you got the can't be patient with it. You got to haste. You got to move for it. You got to get at it. Cause that's all we got. We ain't got long left, man. We ain't got long left. Why a lot of our people, like the book said, just like the days of Noah. This was going on. Just like in the days of Noah. What was going on in the days of Noah back then? They were giving and married, partying, drinking, marrying. They was fornicating. They was doing it all. And what we doing except for today? Giving and married, fornicating, partying, drinking. They doing it same here. Just like the days of Noah, so at the coming of the Son of Man. Y'all can't see the end. Same thing when God told Noah to build an ark, and all them folks was over there partying, sinning, and doing all with transgressing God's law, and God said he couldn't find number 8. Where he found Noah. And Noah pleased the Lord somewhere he took his all 8 of them. His 3 sons, his wife, and their wife. And he saved them to repopulate the earth. But that's it. Like I said, man, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, boy, we a lot. So, man, thank y'all forgiving the ill. Remember, I am Israel, a true seeker of Yahweh. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. With that being said, man, like I said, I like to praise the 12 tribe, honor them, give them all blessings that scatter abroad, because we all we got. With that being said, Kwame Yasharala, and y'all have a blessed day.